Just can't believe it's here. It was meant to be on September the 10th. We all know what happened. The fighters know what happened. But thank God, the fighters, the venue, everyone pulled together to make sure this huge, huge event, a historic event, the biggest fight we've ever seen in women's boxing, manages to stay on track. And now it's fight week, it's Saturday, and it's the O2.
So as Ben mentioned, the fight was postponed due to the Queen's passing. How much will this have disrupted preparations?
First of all, the board did the right decision making that. It was a very difficult week. The fighters all geared up. And of course, they're making weight and their preparation. You know, it's not a team sport. This is an individual sport, and it's very, very hard. And there were some very disappointed ladies afterwards when they found out. But they've had to regroup. Obviously, some have had to travel back to America, the likes of Alycia and Mikaela and Claressa, of course. So it does disrupt preparations. It disrupts everything for us, but most importantly for the fighters. However, they're all in the same boat. We've got exactly the same card again. We go again. As Ben says, this is not only the biggest female fight that's probably ever happened, but it's the first time ever there's an all-female card for the first time in the UK. It's a pivotal, an amazing moment for sport, and it's one that should be celebrated. And obviously with the tragic passing of the Queen and the difficulties of that week, it wasn't right to go ahead with it. So a few weeks on, everybody is back, everybody's ready, and they'll be fighting fit, and on we go. And may the best win, because there's some cracking matches.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about those then, because you just mentioned it's the first all-female card in Britain. It's going to be a huge night at the O2 as well on Saturday night. And Ben, we talked about the main event. We've got huge pictures of it. Everyone's talking about that one. How about some of the other female boxers that'll be taking part on the night?
Yeah, a lot of people have said to me it's almost like having two main events. The co-main event, I cannot tell you, Alycia Baumgardner against Mikaela Mayer is a huge fight. It's probably the second biggest fight in the women's sport. It's on the same card. We have Lauren Price, Caroline Dubois, Carrie Sartingstall, all Olympic heroes from Tokyo. But I just hope this shows how far the sport has come. You know, there has been difficult moments over the past 12 months for the sport, but to have an all-women's card, in 2012, it was the first time women were boxing in the Olympics. To now be selling out the O2, broadcasting over 100 countries, and have this level of interest in these fights, that is monumental for the sport of boxing, and Saturday night is going to be something very, very historic.
Right, OK, so we've got Marshall and Shields here behind us. Let's hear from the fighters and how they're feeling ahead of this one.
It doesn't get much bigger than this, and it never will. It never will. The division, the high division that I'm in and Claressa's in, the pool isn't very big. We're big girls. We're not your average height. We're not your average weight for female boxing. The likes of Katie Taylor, her weight is a lot busy. Lightweight, at our weight, it's not. So I'm the biggest. She's the biggest fight for me, and she'll probably deny it, but I'm the biggest fight out there for her.
The goal is even bigger now, you know what I'm saying? Like, from September to now, the goal is bigger. Like, I knew I was going to beat Savannah Marshall September 10th, but now, like, I really feel in my spirit that I'm going to knock Savannah Marshall out. Like, this is going to be my statement fight. You know, this is the one where she talks all that stuff about pillow fists, but she's not going to stand there and fight me. She's not going to be able to handle my shots. She can't outbox me. She's not better skilled, but I think that with her having the extra time, she probably feel like it done her some good too.
So Shields saying, Adam, she's going to knock Marshall out. It really feels like this is the biggest rivalry in women's boxing from when I watch it. What type of fight are you expecting?
You've got to love Claressa Shields, haven't you? We've known Savannah Marshall a huge amount of time on Sky. She was part of the scholarship scheme back in sort of 2012 after she froze at the Olympics. So there were some tough times with her confidence, but it's been rebuilt. She's absolutely flying under Peter Fury, undefeated, probably the biggest puncher in women's boxing, period. So, of course, she's got the firepower, and she's now got the confidence that she never had. Claressa's always had confidence. You know, she's had 77 amateur fights. She lost one, and that one defeat, and I'm beating both of them as pros, of course, but one defeat to Savannah Marshall. It still irritates her. It's that little wasp, isn't it, that's just buzzing around her, and she wants to get rid of it. And now she's saying she's going to knock Savannah Marshall out. She's only got a couple of knockouts on her professional record. She's got more as an amateur. I don't see it like that for Claressa. I think for Claressa it's about speed, rhythm, mobility, getting a fast start. For Savannah, it's not getting behind in the fight, keeping that confidence going with Peter Fury and hoping that she's got the firepower to bang out Claressa Shields. However, she has got a great jab and boxing skills as well. It's a real 50-50 fight. It could go either way. I'm hoping that Ben gives us a trilogy.
Well, we'll see after Saturday night because it's going to be unbelievable. You just mentioned there that Shields' only loss in her amateur career was against Marshall. Ben, obviously you're promoting this fight. We've seen the build-up. You can see them two head-to-head. Will that be a factor that plays into this for both fighters on Saturday night, kind of building this rivalry even more after everything that's happened in the history between them?
I think so. I mean, this rivalry has been built for 10 years. As a promoter, you don't even need to do anything. I mean, Savannah Marshall is an incredible talent. You look at that 2012 win over Claressa Shields in China in 2012. I don't think you can read too much into it. They've both changed as fighters. They've both grown as people. But for Claressa Shields, who's never lost to anyone other than Savannah, professionally and in the amateurs, as Adam said, that's the one bugbear. But this really is. It's like the yin and the yang. They're so different. You've got Savannah Marshall from Newcastle, sort of normal girl that we can relate to, versus the brash American, almost like the Floyd Mayweather style. We've never had this before. Never had this in the sport. And rivalries are needed in sport. We see it all the time. We see it in tennis. We see it in the F1. We see it everywhere. That's what grows a sport. We finally have the biggest rivalry we've ever seen in this sport, and it's going to grow it beyond our wildest dreams.
Which was lit up in February. You couldn't get a word in, could you?
We couldn't. No. And as you say, the delay, and it just adds to it, doesn't it, Adam? We've seen everything happen with this rivalry. The turns, it's on, it's off. The Queen passing away, unfortunately, but it just added now to the drama. 4 weeks later, Claressa's gone back. She's had to come back to the UK. How's that going to play in? How agitated are they? It's an incredible week. It's an incredible spectacle, and we can't wait.
One of the highlights for me was the impressions that they did of each other. I thought that was pretty good, wasn't it? Right, OK, let's get down to it then, Adam. What's your prediction for the fight?
I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it can't not be. I think they both will be. I think Mikaela Mayer and Alycia Baumgardner, that's a super unification in its own right. But for the middleweight titles and this Elizabethan belt and everything on the line, I think it's going to be a very, very tight affair. I mean, it's 10 rounds, 2-minute rounds, remember, so it's quick. It's 20 minutes of action. I think it's all about the beginning. It's all about the start. If Claressa gets a fast start, Savannah could be playing catch-up. If Savannah gets her jab going and wins some of those early rounds, then she gets some momentum and has, as I said, that inner confidence, which almost grows round by round with her. She could pull this off. But Claressa Shields, many feel, has just a little bit more skill set. But it's fascinating. Don't forget as well, you've got a wonderful undercard too. We've got, Lauren Price, Karis Hartingstall, Caroline Dubois. It's a whole feast. It's going to be a fabulous week.
It's going to be so good. Ben, what do you make of this then?
It's a fantasy fight. For boxing fans, this is seismic. Anyone that is connected with the sport always dreamt that this fight would happen, not least because of the personalities and how good they are, but the styles. You've got the fiercest, the biggest puncher we've ever seen in women's boxing. This is almost like the heavyweight division for women's sport, the middleweights, and it's so hard to tell. You're going to have tactics, you're going to have mind games, you're going to have the trainers, you're going to have the fighters.
Mental fortitude.
It's everything, and in front of a packed out O2. It's going to be a special moment, impossible to call.